I loved it. I loved it so much.
It's very messy. Yes, we need to talk about it. I loved it.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hopefully you'll stick around, and if you are returning, welcome back. I'm sure you've read the title, but I do need to give in a few other things to say. So first off, I just want to kind of update you guys on the Magical Readathon. So if you did not know, Gia, I think her name is, hosts this amazing readathon throughout April, and it also in August, I'm pretty sure. This is my first year participating in it, so yeah. The idea is that you make your own character, and then you go to this magical school, you do these classes, and you read a book for each class you need to take to end up getting like the job you want to do. It's a fun time. I have almost done of like what I needed to do. There's 4 classes I needed to do, and I completed the Elemental Studies one, which I read Emerald Green for that one. I've read Restoration, which was read a book that could get you out of slumps, and I'm gonna put in A Castle in the Clouds for this. And also Alchemy. This is the one I didn't update anyone on. Alchemy was Transmutation Circles. The prompt was to read a circle on the cover. I'm going to use this book that I read, which is called La Celestina. This is a Spanish play that I've had on my shelf for years and just wanted to read it. The circle, there's a ball of yarn on the cover. It's a little bit covered, but we're counting it. I don't think anyone's gonna mind too much. This is a play that was written and performed during 1499-ish, around those years, so it's old. It is definitely a product of its time. It's in Spanish also, which made it a lot harder. Old Spanish made it a lot harder to read. It is a classic play that is taught here in school, and I just never read it for school, even though I was supposed to, but I never did. Very much like Romeo and Juliet, this boy called Callisto falls in love with this girl called Melibea, who wants nothing to do with him, basically. So he goes back home and he gets his servants to help him out, like, how am I supposed to win the heart of this girl? And they present him to this old woman who is known as this kind of old... I don't really want to use the word hag, but that's essentially what she is. She runs this prostitution house. She is a little bit of a witch, and she's also into a little bit of an apothecary. And they basically essentially help her meddle in with the love life to make Melibea like Callisto. And also the servants kind of like are trying to get as much money out of it as possible. So there's a lot going behind the scenes of what essentially the main romance is. It's a fun time, definitely a product of its time. If you enjoy Shakespeare's plays and are looking for something that's not in English or like a different style of play that's a little bit longer, this is a good one. Celestina. It's a romance, it's a tragedy, it's a comedy, it's a fun time, essentially. I read that one, and that fulfills the prompt for Alchemy. And the only one I had left was Inscript. For that one, it was write down 3 titles, fold it, and pick 1 book, which is what I included already. And that is how I ended up picking Sally Rooney's Normal People. Oh my god, I was hoping this would come up the first one, and it did. So I'm very, very, very excited to read this one. And the rest of the vlog will essentially have me reading all of her other books. But this one's the first one, so let's just get into it. I read quite a bit. I've read about 158 pages, so I am hoping to finish it soon. This is the story about Connor and Marianne and their relationship. Sometimes they are together, sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's a lot of miscommunication, but miscommunication that makes sense. There's a lot of prejudice of the society world, a lot of inner turmoil between them, like they're not sure if they can... I'm oddly really invested in it. It's my first time really reading any Sally Rooney, any literary fiction, anything like this really, and I am very much enjoying it. I really do like it, and I'm just shocked, honestly. Like, I didn't think I'd like it this much, but I do. One thing I will say is that I heard a lot of people saying that her style of writing doesn't mesh well with everyone, because she doesn't use quotation marks for like dialogue, and I thought I'd find that very jarring, but I don't. Essentially, I really don't. I barely notice that it's not there. I find it really obvious when they're talking, when they're not. I can understand some people being kind of like, that's weird, but I don't find it that weird. It's honestly not that bad. So I am really enjoying this one. Hopefully I'll finish it today, maybe? That's the plan, essentially. Another thing that I've noticed is that I wasn't expecting it to be so blunt. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like, it's very to the point, the writing. There's not like a lot of symbolism in what she's saying. I mean, I don't think there is, and there is and there isn't. I just, like, it's very to the point, her writing. She did this, she did that. It's just good. It's really good. But yeah, I'm really, really, really enjoying it, and hopefully I will finish it soon. And the last thing that I want to talk about in this little update is that yesterday was St. George's. So it was also my birthday, and I went out shopping for books. So if you don't know, St. George is something that I celebrated in Spain, Catalonia more or less, and it is just a day where people gift roses and books, which is essentially just such a beautiful I love this today. It is just the best day on earth. Honestly, it's my favorite days. The streets are filled with people buying roses and books, and there's just so much. It's roses and books. Like, it's so random, but it's so fun. I love it. Anyway, and because of it, I picked up a few books. So let's just quickly go through them because I don't want this update to be super long. The first one that we've got is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to A Prayer of the Orange Tree. Have I read Prayer of the Orange Tree? No. I want to see what the hype is about. And so I got this. Plus, I've been waiting for them to come out with like the same size paperback as I own Prayer of the Orange Tree in. I haven't heard the best things now that the hype has died down about those two books. But, I mean, it's dragons and it's fantasy, so I have to give it a try at least. I picked up a few romance books. The ones I essentially always pick up. We've got The Long Game by Elena Armas. This is the third book in her like Spanish love deception series, kind of. I don't know what this is about, honestly. I know there's a goat involved and football. They have to do with Spain somehow all of her books, so I'm excited to see it. Have I read any? No, but I like having them on hand. The romance book that I picked up was Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This has taken BookTube by storm. Everyone recommends it. Everyone likes it. We follow, what's her name? Elise, and she is a physical theorist, and she basically is trying to get this job, but at the side, because it doesn't pay well, she fakes dates for like money, and the brother of the person who she fake dates is like, I know you from something else, this is kind of weird. It basically turns the fake dating trope on its head a little bit, like it switches it up a little bit. It still stays true to Ali Hazel's writing style, but it's very different in the sense it gives a few twists. So I am really excited to get to this one at some point. I don't know when. I picked up this one because I honestly love the cover of this, and it is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. Anyway, the first time I heard about this was with Chloe Bunny, who's a great booktuber, by the way. If you haven't watched her, you definitely should. And this is like a love story between a young woman who's in 24 and then an older man called Frank, and their relationship, they basically essentially marry each other because she needs a green visa card, from what I can tell. And yeah, it's supposed to be kind of like their marriage relationship. I don't know much more about that, but honestly, the cover, I've always been drawn to the cover. I think it is stunning. I love it. Like, look. And then I finally picked up one that I was hoping that if I found it, I definitely would have picked it up, but that is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas. Now, if you can see that shelf there, I do like Sarah J Maas. I love the Throne of Glass series. That is probably my favorite series. ACOTAR I enjoy. I don't love it, but I do enjoy it. And then probably Crescent City, I feel this is not new for anyone, is my least favorite, but I do like the first book. The second book, meh. I don't really know what happened throughout most of it. I remember the ending and the beginning, and that's about it. So, and I've, again, haven't heard the best things about House of Flame and Shadow, but we want to complete it. I wanted to have it. I want to give it a chance. And I do honestly think the covers for the Crescent City series are amazing. Like, look at that. And the end pages too. Like, it's insane. But again, I've heard people complaining that it's too big, it's too long, and not a lot happens in it. A lot of people were disappointed by it, but again, my own decisions. My only concern though is Sally Rooney's Normal People. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys probably when I finish it. So bye. finished it. I finished Normal People by Sally Rooney. Oh my god. 5 stars, a new favorite. I loved it. I loved it so much. And we're going to go into a little bit of a rant session, because if you clicked on this video, it was because you were expecting me to read it and give my thoughts on it. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it, because there's a lot to say. I want to point out, again, the writing. This is my first literary fiction. It's also my first Sally Rooney, so I didn't really know what to expect from the writing. I've said this before, the writing to me seems very blunt, it seems very straightforward, but at the same time it makes it very addicting to read, it makes it very easy, and I do really enjoy it. I like flew through it. If it wasn't for the fact that I just didn't have time, it's an easy book to just sit and read all in one sitting. It is so good. It's so addictingly good. There's no quotation marks when there's dialogue, but I honestly didn't really have a problem with it. Felt natural. It didn't really jar me at any point. And the reason I say that it's very to the point is because there's not really a lot of description of like the places we're at. Not really. But also like it kind of, there's no real fluff to the writing. It's just very to the point. It sticks. And it's so blunt. I love it. I don't know how to describe it, but I thought it was an amazing read. I've talked about the plot, but I do want to go more in depth about the characters, because our main characters, the only characters perspective we follow, are Marianne and Connell. Marianne is someone who struggles a lot. She doesn't have the best home life, and she's very much an outcast during her time in high school, and then she turns into this very popular person during college. I identified a little bit with her. She's probably the person I least identified with it during the whole novel, but she was such an interesting character. She was so different to what I was expecting her to be, and every single time I just felt so bad for her throughout the story. And you kind of want her to grow a backbone, and at the same time it's like, why and how she just basically was heartbroken throughout the book. There's a part where I almost cried at the part where she gets heartbroken, essentially. She's very interesting, and she's just nice, and she's an interesting character because of her thoughts and feelings, and how she essentially doesn't care what other people think about her, but at the same time it does affect her in some way at some point at different stages of her life. So I loved it. And then Connell, oh my god, Connell was the person I mostly I think I identified him more, like I related more to Connell and his experiences and just his thoughts in general of wanting to fit in, not wanting to be different, but like liking something that's very different, that's very much outcast, and feeling ashamed for it. Again, very interesting character. I just loved him so much. I just wanted to hug him the whole time. I just love these two characters together. Yes. The best way I could describe this book as well is that it's a love story but without any romance, is what I was thinking throughout the book, because I'd heard it was a romance. Some people do say it's romance. I don't really see the romance part of it, because part of the like romance genre is that you get to see them falling in love. This one doesn't really show that, but it is a love story, and I think it is a very kind of nice twist in a different love story that we don't usually see. But again, I love it so much. I also want to say that I generally related to the story in general just because of their ages. It's basically following them through the ends of high school till the ends of college, and I am currently in my last year of university, so it was very interesting to see that. I was very intrigued. It hit closer to home because I knew I'm their age. They've done so much and I'm literally their age. It's a weird feeling. Just their life during college, essentially. Now, another thing that everyone points out about this book is that it's very sad. I don't think it's a sad book. I don't think it'll make you cry. It almost made me cry, but I wouldn't describe it as a sad book, essentially. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it is something that I've heard about it, and I've seen it in a lot of top books that will make you cry, and I've seen people crying reading it, but it didn't make me cry. But I did feel emotional throughout it. There are parts that really hit me. It's not that it doesn't give me that sadness, I just wouldn't contain it as a sad book. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever. Well, but anyway, I don't really know what else to say about it other than I loved it. It is 5 stars. It is a new favorite book of mine. I wasn't expecting to like it so much, and the fact that it did, all of the whole time I was reading it, I just wanted to get back to it. The whole time I was thinking about it. Even now, having finished it and started another book, I'm still thinking about it. But yeah, I loved it so much. So much. I really, if you're thinking about reading it, read it. If you have heard things about it that maybe you don't like, try it out, see if you like it. I don't know, I really wish more people would pick it up. I get the hype now. Like, I feel like I'm in the loop now. It's just me raving about this book. Anyway, but I did finish it last night and I started listening to the audiobook for Conversations with Friends. One thing, I thought this was published after Normal People, but no. This was published in 2017, whereas Normal People was published in 2018. Which I was not expecting. I thought I was reading them in chronological order, but I wasn't. This one came out first, which is interesting, because I feel like this only blew up because this one got so popular. Anyway, that's besides the point. I started reading it, I'm 100 pages in. I was listening to the audiobook while I played Minecraft, which, if you guys have never played Minecraft, like just building up little buildings, like just building, I just do creative, I don't do the survival one at all, I'm terrible at that one, but I just like building my like little farms, little houses while listening to an audiobook. It is so immersive, I adore that experience. But anyway, I got 100 pages in and honestly I really like this one too. I didn't know I would love Sally Rooney so much, but I'm really enjoying all of her books. In this one we follow Frances, and essentially Frances, but her ex-girlfriend Bobby and her are still friends, are very best of friends, and they meet up this woman called, I don't remember her name, Melissa, who is married to this man called Nick. So essentially Frances starts having a crush on Nick, the married man, and Bobby has a crush on Melissa, the married woman, and between them, Melissa and Nick aren't, like, the married couple aren't the best. I don't know if they're in the best of terms, but they have a little bit of a rocky relationship, and this is just more of a rocky relationship. It's just very dramatic. It's very, very messy. Essentially, I would say this one's a little bit more messier in the sense of relationships than Normal People, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. I can very much tell it is Sally Rooney writing it, if that makes any sense at all. Just because, like, Sally Rooney has now a very distinct voice to me, a very distinct writing style, and I am enjoying it so much. I can very much tell it is a Sally Rooney book. I wasn't expecting to like it so much, because I've seen people, like, who love Normal People not really like Conversations with Friends, and vice versa, basically. But I'm liking this one too. I don't know if I'm liking it as much, but again, at the beginning of reading Normal People, I wasn't sure if I really, really liked it, and then I ended up loving it. So very much could be the same case for this book. Hopefully it will be. I'll update you guys once I have more to say on it, essentially, because I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. I've been looking forward to, like, loving these books, and I'm loving them, and I cannot wait. But yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity to read these. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys once I have an actual update for this book. So yes. I finished Conversations with Friends. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really liked it. Honestly, it surprised me a lot. I'm honestly very surprised at how much I'm just liking Sally Rooney's books in general. Her writing style, everything about it. So going into writing style, I think the writing style is very much similar to Normal People. I think it is just as addicting, it's just as easy to read. It's just as blunt and very much to the point as I apparently really like in my literary fiction books. I will say, so I don't know if I explained it very well in my last update about what this was about, but basically we're following this girl called Frances, who is her best friend. Her name is Bobby, and they were girlfriends, and now they're not. Now they're just very good friends, and these 2 girls make friends with this couple married couple that are having a little bit of trouble with their marriage, and one of the girls, our main girl, the girl we follow, Frances, is kind of interested in the guy, Nick, and Bobby's kind of interested in the wife. So it's very messy. It is a very messy look. None of the characters are perfect. They're all so extremely flawed. And I think what it was missing more than anything was just perspectives on like the other characters, because we only see Frances' perspective, which I enjoyed a lot. Like, she's an emotional wreck. Like, she is a very interesting character, but I would have liked to have seen, just like with normal people, kind of like the perspective of someone else as well, just to kind of see why they're making certain decisions, what they're thinking essentially when they say this or when they say that. And we don't get that in this one, but I do still think it is very good either way. Like, I read it in about 2 days. I loved it a lot. What I will say is that Frances, I related to her so much more than any of the other characters within Conversations with Friends and Normal People. I think she's I just turned 22, so she was 21 during this book, so that made it kind of like very similar. Her friends circle is very similar. The way she thinks is very similar to what I think, and it's almost just too similar to how I think to like properly enjoy it, because I was thinking the whole time, this hits too close to home. Certain decisions that she makes also are too similar. Again, no plot, just very much vibes and following these characters. Maybe not make the best decisions ever, but yeah, they're still lovable. And another thing, right, I wasn't expecting, going into these books, I really wasn't expecting to have so much mental help, like mental illness rep. I really wasn't expecting it. I don't know why though, but I feel like it's not really talked about, kind of like when people are presenting these books, it doesn't really show off that part of it, but it does have a lot of mental health rep, and I thought that was very interesting. Both in, I think in Normal People, one of the characters suffers from anxiety and depression, and very much same goes here. And the thing is, it's not something that's focused on, it's something that's like talked about, but like we've moved past that, or how they got better or how they're getting better. And I like that it's not just the full focus, and that it doesn't really, I don't know, I just liked how it's important, but it didn't overconsume the story, I guess. I don't know. I liked it anyway. I thought that was very interesting, and we'll see if like it's still in the next book that I'm reading, which is going to be Beautiful World, Where Are You? This is the paperback edition, so I'm not sure if it's completely you can see the title, but it's holographic and it's so pretty. I love this cover. I'm kind of annoyed that the spine doesn't match the other two, but that's other problems. I love the edition anyway. I know nothing about this one. I've just started it. I'm 2 chapters in, so not that far in, because it's 18 pages. So yes, we'll see how it goes. I don't know much about this one, but I do know that everyone kind of read it and went, this is just Sally Rooney kind of like answering critiques that she's gotten, so it's not really a story. I know we follow a girl who's a young author, and I feel like she inserted herself a lot in there, is what I heard from people like who've read the book. I don't know. So we'll see. What does it say? Alice, a novelist, meets Felix, who works in a warehouse, and asks him if he'd like to travel to Rome with her. Ooh! In Dublin, her best friend Eileen is getting over a breakup and slips back into flirting with Simon, a man she has known since childhood. I've read a bit about that, actually. Alice, Felix, Eileen, and Simon are still young, but life is catching up with them. They desire each other, they dilute each other, and they worry about sex, friendship, and the times they live in. Honestly, I'm excited, just because I really liked having more characters that we focused on in Conversations with Friends, that it wasn't just like 2 people. Even though I loved Normal People, I want to see if like I like this one just as much as I liked Normal People, with things that I liked about Conversations with Friends. I don't know. I'll rank them at the very end once I've read it, but at the moment I'd say Normal People definitely my number 1, then Conversations with Friends. And then we'll see about this one. I just love the cover. I really hope I like this one as well. But yeah, I will talk to you guys hopefully when I finish it or get through it, once I have something more to say about it. So I'll see you then.
noises everywhere in this room. Doesn't matter. Okay, we're back because I finished Beautiful World, Where Are You? Yes, we need to talk about it. I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. For starters, I found it funny that in this particular book we get emails. It's very much mixed media. There's a lot more in the sense that there's more like text messages and emails. Like there's chapters that are just emails. And I really enjoyed it because in the other books there is a little bit of that. Like we do get some emails, but it's never fully, like it's never that big or like big a deal. But in this book it really is. Like there's a whole relationship that is, they're only the 2 best friends in this book only talk to each other through emails, which I found really interesting, and just the type of emails that they write and all that is just so, it was really good and I really liked it, and I like that aspect of it. It was like Sally Rooney has been building up the fact that maybe I want to do a book throughout emails, and she did it in this one, which I find it funny because she just says that in Normal People. Oh, I do get people saying that this is just Sally Rooney's way of answering people back from the criticism she receives, because one of the protagonists in this book is an author and a literary fiction author who is struggling with the fact that she's kind of famous. So I get it, but I don't see the problem with it. Like, I feel like everything she says in this book, like answering criticism that authors receive, or and like how she feels like she's lost kind of like the touch of being in a normal person because she's not normal anymore. She is a famous author now, both the protagonist in this book and Sally Rooney, I'm guessing. I don't see the problem with her kind of trying to explain her perspective now and what she's dealing with throughout a character. I don't see the problem with it, essentially. Like, I can tell that it's being done, but I don't mind it because it's an interesting thing to read about, I guess. I don't know. I didn't really have a problem with it, but I would say that it's true, I guess. And I found it really funny because this was published in 2021 the first time. Not this edition, but the book was published first in 2021, and it does mention the pandemic, which I, for some reason, wasn't expecting it. I haven't really read a book that has anything to do with the pandemic or even mentions it at any point. So that was an interesting part, and it's only mentioned at the very end because our characters are living through it, which I found really interesting because obviously, like, throughout the year, they're not really living through it. They only end up having it to deal with it at the end, which is very much sticks to real life. Like, we all had to deal with the pandemic kind of randomly in our lives, just sort of happened. And it was a weird time. But yeah, it was interesting to read that. I was weird, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. The reason I really like this one a little bit more than Conversations with Friends, because it did what I wanted Conversations with Friends to do, in the sense that it gave us more perspectives. It has, again, 4 core kind of main characters, and the thing is, from Conversations with Friends, we only got one perspective, and she kind of talked about it in this book. No, we get all of the perspectives from all the 4 characters, main characters, and I really enjoyed it. It was what I wanted from Conversations with Friends and delivered in Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I was so tremendously happy. I think it helps a lot with the character building. Like, we get to see each other's thoughts. I always enjoy it a lot more. We kind of like understand misunderstandings a bit more that characters have between each other. We kind of understand why this person is doing this, what this person is feeling, what this person is like, that person's thought process. It's always very interesting, so I enjoyed that. But I do feel like these characters were the least relatable of all of her characters that she's ever written, for me personally. But again, they're still great characters. They're all flawed. They all have their issues. I will say that I also wasn't expecting, I kind of love about this book is that at first it feels like it's a little bit of a romance book, like it's very romance-centric, heavy. We have 2 relationships, we're watching those 2 relationships kind of develop, essentially. But I feel like towards the middle part and the ending, we get to see how it is a much more of a friendship story about 2 girls who are best friends, who are miss each other, hate each other, love each other, and they just are trying to express that. And I really liked how that was written. I like how it wasn't like they're best friends and nothing changes that. No, they're like, they get angry at each other, but they still love each other, and I loved it so much. I really did. I don't know what to say. I still gave it 4 stars because I didn't love it as much as I loved Normal People, but I still loved it a lot. I definitely recommend the read. If you've been putting it off because you've heard that it's like the best of her works, I don't think so. I think it is just as good. if I had to rank them, it is my second favorite. Let's rank them, shall we? I'd say Normal People the first, because that one is just amazing. Next, this one, Beautiful World, Where Are You? Which honestly, I was not expecting to like it this much, because it was the one I least knew about. It's the one I've least seen people talk about. But I ended up loving it so much more than not so much more, but I ended up loving it a lot more than Conversations with Friends. And lastly, I put Conversations with Friends. But they're all really good books. So if you're looking into trying to read Sally Rooney, definitely get into it. I don't think you need to think too hard. Pick up whatever, any of her books, any of the ones that call out to you. They're all so good. I am really enjoying myself with this. I am very happy with this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it too, if you stick around. So thank you. This is a long ass video too. But anyway, thank you for sticking around. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!